Hello folks, I'm Scott Grove and I have bad lighting. I'm teasing. Here to teach all you beginners or people who just want to break some old habits or really start at the beginning on the mandolin. Square one. I teach you all the chords and all kinds of lead stuff, all the alternative stuff you could do with it. For example, if you're playing along, let's say, so I teach you the G chords, every chord there is, major chord, I teach them to you how to play, what chords go in generally every key. So if you're in G, I teach you that it's in G to C, back to G, to D, to G, to G7, to C, to the... Yeah, I teach that to you, and all the little stuff like that is still taught to you in the beginner lesson. I released one for guitar players yesterday, actually. And I wanted to do one for complete beginners, but I taught a lot on this one too. So it's fairly similar to the other one, but I teach this one without using any guitar terms, blah blah blah. So if you have never touched any instrument in your entire life, yes, this is the one you want. Okay? So I teach you how to tune this thing. Speaking of which, do not ever get any instrument without going out and buying a tuner. Electronic tuners, you can get them for like $15, $20, depends where you want to go. These are really cool. These just kind of clamp right here onto the top of your instrument and they can just stay there. And you turn them on, little switch, and you can move them any way you want, point them towards you, and it just tells you what to tune your strings to, whether to tighten them, loosen them, whatever. They're a must. So do not get your mandolin or any instrument without buying an electronic tuner. You will drive yourself mad and you'll never be in tune. Other than that, all you're going to need to do is make sure you have some strings on it. Grab a pick or 20. What kind of pick? It doesn't matter if it feels good, as long as it's not too flimsy. Okay, the more flimsy they are, the less volume you're going to get out of it. So that paper thin stuff, no. If it has a little bit of a bend to it, cool. They make the little bitty small things. If that feels good to you, you don't know if it feels good to you yet. I don't like them. I like guitar picks, but I like them to feel stiff enough to be nice and loud. So anyway, be very sure that I'm giving you about 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours 45 minutes worth of lessons here that will get you further than 5 years of working with anybody else. Okay, period, on the face of the planet. I don't care who. Any music store, any music college. I will teach you more on this video alone than you will learn with 5 years of anybody else. Or you can come to me in 5 years and ask for the money back and you'll get it and you'll keep your video. It's just the way it is. I'm the best teacher around here for super fast teaching and super accurate teaching. Okay, so if you ever wanted to play the mandolin before in your life, you have come to the right place. Okay, again, this one was designed and put out for people who have never touched any instrument in their life. Okay, again, I show you how to tune it, how to make sure it's set up even properly, blah blah blah, teach you all the parts, and I don't dwell on that forever. I really get into the playing stuff and you learn everything fast. It's nuts how fast you can learn it and how great of things I threw in there for you to do to add to your playing. Okay, that is in there for beginners. How nuts is that? And I teach it to you, and you'll learn it. Why? Because I know what I'm doing. Okay, so what I need to do now is just shut up. Remember, these things are available as DVDs, CD-ROMs, Mac and PC downloads for all your iPods, iPads, iPhones, your anything you want. So if you don't see it advertised one particular way, ask me. I'll tell you where to find it. I have them in every possible way on hard drives with all my other instruments all in one place. So you can buy everything at once and get it done, 150, 60 hours worth of stuff. But just ask. I'm more than proud of this lesson. I love this lesson. So buy it. Learn how to play this thing. It is a gas. Okay, again, Scott Grove and Jimi Hendrix. There he is. And between the two of us, we don't play Purple Haze or anything on here, but we be tripping on some mandolin stuff. So best beginner mandolin video on the face of the planet ever by anybody. Money back guarantee. You keep the video. Serious. Okay, so buy it. See ya in a few minutes, because I know you can't not get it. Okay, see you soon. Bye. Okay, hello all. It is time. Yep, you invested the money, so it's time to get to it, honey. How to play a mandolin. Now, it is a very old instrument in the fact that it's been around forever, kind of like me. A lot of people, when they're playing instruments like guitars, they're like, oh, my fingers are too big or too small or whatever to be able to play. That's horsepucky. But on a mandolin, can your fingers be too big? Yeah, they can be. So nice little fingers are a beautiful thing, especially when you get way up to playing way up here, because your fingers have to fit between these little bars up here. So if you got great big old fat fingers, it's not going to happen. Okay, so let's get started. Number one, I got to teach you quickly the parts of the mandolin, so that when I'm talking about different things, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay, there are basically only two kinds of mandolins out there. One being called the F style, like this one, which stands for Florentine. It's the kind with the curly Q's, and curly Q's up here, all fancy looking, blah blah blah. Is one any better than the other? No. The other one that most people end up getting are called the A style, which basically looks like this, okay, which cuts off all that mess and fancy stuff, gets rid of that curly Q down at the bottom, and it just kind of is shaped like a big teardrop. That's what most of you will probably end up having. And it's, like I said, is one better than the other? No. One is just shaped different. That's it. You've seen guitars that look like big old V's or like spiders or whatever, and guitars that look like guitars. It's just the way the wood is shaped. Okay, so on the mandolin, this is called the body. Okay, just like on a person, that's your body. This is your butt. Yeah, just the butt end of the mandolin. Okay, everything here is named after body parts for the most part. Okay. Of course, this whole long thing here, no, it's not called a handle, that's just called a neck. Okay, actually this part on the back side is called the neck. The front part is actually called the fingerboard or the fretboard. What do they call it? A fretboard, possibly? Or a fingerboard? Well, they call that part a fingerboard because you put your fingers on there. That's the part you actually put your fingers on. And why would they call it a fretboard? These pieces of steel that run across, which are going to be the most integral part of our playing other than being able to have hands, those are called frets. Okay, and you'll notice on this side you'll have markers here telling you which one is basically here at the first fret. Some of you may or may not have one on the first one. but there'll always be a marker here on the side so that you don't have to be looking at the front of it trying to see any kind of marker, whether it's a dot or fancy things like this, to tell you where you're at. But they will be on every other one. So there's one on the 1st fret, a marker here at the 3rd fret, then 5th fret, then 7th fret, and so on. It just keeps going. So they're like every other one. 1, 3, 5, 7. Beyond that, we're not going to have to get to it, especially for this lesson, okay? And, okay, so you have your fingerboard or your fretboard. Either way, you can call it whatever you want, but the back part is called the neck, not the front part, okay? People will say, okay, well, I have a maple neck, but I have a rosewood fingerboard or fretboard. Some people say, okay, I got a rosewood neck. No, you'll never have a rosewood neck, trust me. Okay, the top part up here, this here is called the head. So you got your body. Well, let's put it this way, you got your butt, you got your body, you got your neck, you got your head. So it's built just like a person is, okay? Some people will call this the head stock. Why? Who knows? Okay, so it's just called the head. And this has the tuners on it, okay, or the tuning keys, okay. Of course, we will have 8 of them. You'll see on the back, some of them are different, some are laid out differently, but these have these gears on the back which actually turn. When you turn one of these, it turns the post right here that your strings are wrapped around. And of course, I'll be showing you how to tune these and which way the strings are supposed to be going on, and so on, so on, so on, so on. Okay, the only other 2 parts we have to worry about, 3 parts let's say, are the F holes. These are actually called sound holes, but they are a fancy shape like an F if you have like a script font, if you guys are computer literate. Okay, so that's supposed to be the shape of a fancy F. Back in the days, you'll have a couple of them probably. One of them may be covered up by another piece right here called the pick guard. What that is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to be playing with a pick. I don't care what kind of pick you use. Find something that fits good. I use a guitar pick. They make so many kinds of picks. They make actual little bitty mandolin picks, which I don't like. But then again, I'm primarily a guitar player, so I'm just used to playing with a pick. Picks are available in different thicknesses. If they're really, really thin, you're not going to get much out of those. So get some kind of pick that actually has some weight to it, meaning that if you try to bend it, it barely bends. If you get something too thin, it's going to be like paper, and you'll get about that much volume out of it. Something like this, you'll get that volume out of it. You want something that takes some control, okay? Something that really digs into these strings. If you have a thin one, it'll be, and that's about all you'll hear out of it because they're barely made out of anything heavier than paper. Okay, so the thicker your pick, the better, but you still want to be able to bend it just a little bit. You want to have some flex to it, but not to be made out of rock. They do make them out of rocks, yes. Okay, so this pick guard I'm telling you about, you see those marks on it? Okay, right there, I'll put it on the light. Those are pick marks, because when you're playing like this, that is called a pick guard because it's guarding your instrument from getting scratched up from all the pick playing going on. So your pick is constantly scraping on that piece of plastic, which you can buy for a couple $, and replace it. This little screw comes off here, and you can put another one on there and make it look like brand new. So if anybody plays on it for 30 years and wears a big hole in there like Willie Nelson's guitar, you can replace that for a couple $. But if you wear a hole in the front of your instrument, depending on what your instrument costs you, you'd have to replace the whole thing. Okay, so those are all the little parts except for the most important part we have to talk about now is the bridge. That is this guy. It is the only part of your instrument that is not attached. If you were to take your strings off and go to change strings, this would fall off. Does it make a difference which way it goes back on? You bet. Okay, so you may want to take something and mark which side is right or which side is left on it, so you'll know later when a couple of these strings do break on you, and they will, and you'll have to change strings. And let me tell you this, just so it will save a lot of time. If you just go to YouTube and type in changing strings on a mandolin or whatever you want to type, there are great videos that will sit there and teach you how to do that. You don't need me to teach you how to sit here and change strings for half an hour. I'd rather teach you how to play. Those you can go get for free on YouTube and just teach you how to change a string or how to tune it. Actually, I will go over the tuning, of course, with you today, but this can all be covered for free on YouTube. The rest of it can be covered, but it won't be covered as well as I will be able to teach you. I'm very prideful in the way I teach. Okay. Other than that, that is it. Again, the fret markers are on the front and they're on the sides. I want you to use the one on the sides, because again, I don't want you to have to be playing with your instrument laying up like this so you can try to see. The markers are on the front. That's why they're on the sides. Why are they on the front? To look pretty to the audience. No other reason. That's it. Okay. I had mentioned at the beginning that I would like for you, because this is crucial, because without it, you're out of luck, and luckily they make electronics so cheap these days, but these are electronic tuners that you can buy at Walmart or at your favorite music store, anywhere. Just you can buy a guitar tuner. Okay, that's all this is a guitar tuner. Is this a chromatic one? Nope, it's just a regular guitar tuner. This will only tune 6 different notes, and luckily 4 of the notes on here are the same as on guitar, so it will tune them. Okay. Another thing cool to know about this later is that this is tuned up just like a violin is. So if you can learn to play this, you can play a violin also. But instead of using a pick, you use the bow. But on a violin, you don't have frets. I'll tell you what the importance are of the frets. A violin does not have frets on the fingerboard. It will no longer be called a fretboard on a violin because there are no frets, the metal pieces, on a violin. But once you learn how to play this, you can play a violin or a fiddle really easy because they're tuned exactly the same and the whole premise is the same. So I'll go over some of that for you too. So know that you're learning kind of 1.5 instruments here at once. And there's another kind of a tuner. There's this little bitty kind here, and it actually can clip on to, let me get my fancy camera guy, which is me, to show you this. Those are just my lights. You got to be able to see me. These actually can clip on to the top of your instrument like this. Okay, and they can swing around to whatever, and they can stay there. They can move around this way, that way. They can work in the dark. I can, look at this. I can go way down to like no light. And this is what I'll do to show you something. But, okay, you can see this. And yes, I'm getting reflections. But it's actually backlit. It's got a light in there. And it'll display whatever. So it's showing an A. And then there's a little line that goes up there and tunes and shows you if you're in tune or not. I will turn on one light. And these are really cool because you can see them real good. Point them at wherever you want. They angle everywhere. This is made by, I'll let you look at it, Intelli. Okay, it's just this. You can find these anywhere too. Go on eBay, put on clip-on Intelli tuner. And these are so great because they can fit right in your little case or your little gig bag, whatever you got. And I strongly suggest these. And these are very cool too. Anything with a built-in microphone, which is what you're seeing here. Here's a microphone. Let me kind of show you how this works. Like I said, I always have to be creative here and let you check out my wall o' junk. Okay, let's get us actually focused in here if I can a little bit, if the camera will let me. About all it's going to let me do. Okay, I will put something behind here so you can kind of see what's going on. I'm not too bright, so give me a couple seconds. Okay, and I might have to turn on another light here. Okay, so you can see the front of the tuner. Okay, this is a simulated needle in the middle. Okay, so this first string that I'm going to be tuning, it don't matter that you can't see my instrument here, is my E string. Now over here, it will show you that it's the first string and it's the E string. Whether you can see that right now or not is not important. But you want to turn your tuning key up here to make it so that it will go in tune right to the very center of this tuner. Okay, my first one will be in tune because I tuned it before we got there. I will untune it. See, it's not there. So it's down. Let's take it to an extreme, way down there. Okay, so that lets me know. You can see the center dot right here in the middle. It's a little tiny arrow that I need to turn this key. Keep turning it. Slowly. Keep picking it until it gets right to that middle thing. If I go past it, well, then I better turn it back the other way until it gets, so just keep plonking that string until it gets right on top of it. On top of that. Okay, let me see if I got it. Yeah, that's about as close as we're going to get. So now what I did here, we'll turn it back over here. Get it off the big zoom thing. Woo! Extreme close up. In order to make the string tighter or to go up in pitch, there's an old saying, yep, you've heard it, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So you turn, if they're on the bottom, you turn it so it's tightening it. So the string goes up in pitch. So if I turn it lefty, it goes down. Turn it that way, and it tightens up. Okay, so the correct way, if you have your strings on here, all the strings, okay, you'll have 4 keys on one side, 4 keys on the other side. The strings should go around the posts, that's what these are, from the inside of the instrument. So they go through, this here's called a nut of all things. They pass through the nut, the strings go into the inside, then they wrap around the tuning shaft here. So they never go to the outside and go around this way, because then if you tried to tighten it, the sound would go down instead of up. So in order for it to all work right, on one side and the other side, they all go to the inside of the keys. They are not outside here. Okay? So you'll know if somebody strung your instrument up wrong, or whenever you have to put a new string on, that's the way we tune it. Okay? So you have to do it that way. Now the thing about these mandolins is they have 8 strings, but there are only 4 notes. Okay? Everything is just doubled. Okay, so you see here, we have 2 strings. They're tuned exactly the same all over the entire instrument. So there are only 4 sets of strings, and they are tuned identically. These here that we were just tuning are both E. So these are your skinny strings, the one that are facing down towards the floor. Okay, the letter E. Okay, and you get to write some stuff down, because I don't include little booklets and all that little junk. Some of the stuff you need in your head. Otherwise, it's real easy to toss it on a piece of paper, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so these down here are your E string. E is in Edward. Write it down. Okay, a few things I'm going to have you write down. We'll tune it in a second. Just know what they are for now. The next ones are going to be A. A is an apple. Both of them. The next 2 coming up here towards your chin. Right here. Those are D as in dog. and they're both the same. And finally up here at the top, these are the ones everybody laugh at. Those are your G strings. For golly gee, isn't that close to my chin? Yeah, my chin's right here. Okay, so those are G strings. Now what we have, okay, I was just tuning one of my E strings for you when I was doing that. When you get one of them in tune, and say the other one is out, because you have two of them, 1, 2. So these are the two for your E strings. The two that are closest to the fretboard, okay, here on the bottom side facing the floor, just like the two strings are facing down here towards the floor. So that's the two for it. That's your first one, the one closest to the ground. This one's the next one right directly next to it. So say you used your tuner and you got that one right on the E, exactly right, in tune, but your other one is out of tune, the one that's right next to it. Okay, now if you try to hit both strings at the same time, which is what you'll always want to do, you never want to hit one and not the other. Okay, so you hit both of them, and it sounds like that, something's wrong. But the only time you're trying to hit one string at a time is when you're tuning it. You want to get your pick right in there and just go like up to tune that string, then down to tune that string using your tuner. But you can only you can if your ear is good, meaning this. You already tuned one, then you listen to the next one. It is lower in pitch. It's not as high as that one is. It's lower sounding. You hear the da-da, then the real one that's been tuned. Ba-ba. So you can actually go to that second one that you have not tuned yet, hit both of them at the same time, keep hitting them over and over, and then start tightening this one, because you already tuned this one with the machine, but start tightening this one until it matches the other one. So you tighten it because it sounds lower than the other one, and you keep tightening it slowly until it actually sounds just like the other one. Listen and learn, okay? They're not there yet. Now they're identical, and you can check that on a tuner and listen to it and see if it works for you. So you can tune each and every single string by the tuner, which is what I would recommend. But if ever one goes out, and if you want to practice just how what it takes to tune it, pretty soon your ear will be able to tell the difference and when it's exactly in tune. So you can tune one goes out, it's like that quick, I'm back in tune again. And you do that with every string. So then you go to your tuner and you go to your 1A string and keep tuning it. You tighten it to make it go higher and loosen it to make it go lower until it is in tune and it is in A. There will be instructions with your tuner to tell you how to use it. Okay? So in the meantime, if you don't have one, here are your E string. Turn your key tighter if it needs to go higher in pitch to match mine, or loosen it if it's too tight until it matches mine. If this is not enough time, rewind the video. Okay, now you can do the other string too, right next to it. Or do what I showed you. Until they're just dead on, sounding just like each other. Okay, and you do that with every single string. Then you do it with your A strings and your D strings. Now you're on the top. So now righty-tighty is like that, and that'll make it go higher in pitch. And then lefty-loosey is turning it back towards you. Okay, same with your G strings. Say 1, you tighten it. Say 1's loose. Way down there. So you tuned 1 with the tuner by going up on it, because you have space there. You can't hardly get in there with your pick. You have to just go inside of it and pick up. And if it's making the other one make noise like that, put your thumb on top of one of them, so you can only hear 1, and tighten it or loosen it until it's right with your tuner. And it says G for the note, and you get it right in the center. Then the other one, you can practice trying to get your ear trained to hear that other note by, and you can hear the other G string that's way low, so you need to tighten it until it gets just right. And you can check your ear, meaning not look at your ear in a mirror, but check your ear by now playing that note that you tried to do by just listening to it, and check it on your electronic tuner and see how close you got it. The more you can do it with your ear, the better, but always do at least one of the set of strings with a tuner, then you can match the other one up with it with your ear as you get better. Okay, let's make some music. I got ahead of myself. Okay, I got to teach you one more thing to write down. We have to write down 12 notes of music. Okay, the best place to write this down is going to be your second set of strings from the floor. So these down here, what strings are these? You should have it written down somewhere, so you should have the answer. Is that the Q strings? No. What are they? If you didn't write them down, you better go back to the beginning of the video, because you're failing already. Okay, these are the A strings. Okay, let me put it this way. We have to know that there are 12 notes, period, in music. No more. That's it, 12 notes. There can be, that is an A note, this is an A note, but they are what are called octaves apart from each other. What that means is I start A, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, then it starts over. So when I get to 13, that note and that note are the same. They finally caught up with each other. So that's what it means by an octave. They are actually separated by 12 whole notes. How do we get these notes to happen? Well, the notes are done by you putting your fingers down behind every fret for these metal bars. You do not put your fingers on top of them. You put them behind them, or in between them, we should say. With a guitar or something, they are much further apart, so it's much more crucial that you get them close to the fret, but not on top. But with a mandolin, it makes no difference, because you still want to get it close to the fret, but not actually touch your finger on it. Okay, so basically you're just putting your finger between them. Okay, so let's concentrate on this. We'll get all this written down, and then we'll play each of the notes. Okay, let's write them down first. I'll play them. You can play along with me if you want, but then again, you can't write at the same time. So on the A string, since it's the first letter of the alphabet, or the A strings, if you put a finger, I'm going to say on the first fret, but it's actually right before it, so between it and this nut, and push down just enough to make the pitch change. If you don't do it enough, it does this fart sound. There's the fart sound. Okay, so you got to push down just enough with the tip of your finger, so your fingers have to arch over like that. You can't just kind of lay it on there like that. That will not get it. All your fingers, you have to play it with the tip. So your fingers will have railroad tracks on them right about there. After a while, you'll see how my skin is falling off. I gave a lesson yesterday, but you get calluses on your fingers, and it won't hurt anymore. They don't hurt much to play these anyway compared to a guitar. Okay, so you have A. Then on your first fret, write this down, is A sharp, or you can call it B flat. it is called both. So write them both. Sharp, the symbol for sharp is the number symbol. Okay? Some of you are older than others. Some of you are younger than others. Okay, so I will do this. So you write the A, and then make a little number symbol like that. That means sharp. Or you can write B flat. Flat is just the letter B, but a small b. It's not a big capital B. It's just a little b like that. Not this one, but that one. So you write the big letter B, then the little letter B, and that will mean B flat. I will show you why coming up on the very next note. Okay, so we had A with nothing on there. When I hit a string with nothing on it, that's called playing the string open. Then you play it at the first fret, and that is A sharp. The next one up, that is called B. Okay, so what we did was we made the A, then the letter or the word sharp means to go higher in pitch. So it gets higher pitched. It was well, that's higher. And then we go higher. But that actually brings us to a B note. Now why did I say that could be called B flat? Because we were at B right here at the second fret. The word flat means to make everything go lower. So we're going now if we go to B flat, instead of we're going to go which is going down. I don't know who made up these rules, but A sharp means you took A and then sharped it, made it go higher. Up one more, they just call it a B. It gets really messy right after this one, trust me. So write it down, that is B. Or if you take it back one, even though it is A sharp, since we went from B and went backward, now we're going to call it B flat. Okay, so that's just what it's called. Don't blame me. So the rest of them are going to go pretty fast. There are two places on here where there will not be any sharps or flats. One of them is next. We were on the second one, so wherever you're writing these down, put open is A, first fret. This is only for the A string. They're different from all the others, but I'll teach you how to change that and how to know what is what. Okay? What we have now is we went to the A sharp. I'm just going to call things sharp from here on out, and I'll tell you to put the flats on. Second fret is B. Now after B, there is no such thing as a sharp or a flat. It goes straight from B to C. So there's B. Third fret is C. Okay? The only other time it does it is between E and F. So we just go through the alphabet just like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we stop after G sharp. There is no such thing as H. It quits after G sharp. So A sharp, B, C. Now up to the fourth fret. What is it? We're going to sharp the C at the fourth fret. That is C sharp. So C with a number sign. Then up to the fifth fret is D. But what did we leave out? Not much other than D. Back to the fourth fret is D flat. Okay, so again, fourth fret can be C sharp or D flat. Okay, so write those down. Or you can print them out anywhere. Go on the internet and print this out. So here we are at the fifth fret, which is D. Then up to the sixth fret is D sharp. Seventh fret is E. Okay, now I said between E and F we do not have any sharps or flats. So from E, from the seventh fret up to the eighth fret is just F. Okay, from F going up is F sharp. That's at the ninth fret. If we go all the way up to the 10th fret, which we're not going to be playing on, but we have to cover the scale of writing these down. Okay. There we have G at the 10th fret. If you go back, it's G flat. Here it's G. Up one more is G sharp. And that is the end of it. Even though we have more frets, yeah, it all starts over again. See where the 2 dots are? This will be on every instrument in the world. You'll see 2 dots on the side. That will always be the 12th fret, meaning that's where the whole instrument starts over again. Just like your nut here, when you get finally back to that 12th fret, that is A again. So it starts all over. And then A sharp, B, C, and but it's an octave higher. Okay, which was what we did earlier, from A all the way up there. So now this one, A, an octave higher, same note. Or if I have to go to this one, there it is, an octave higher. Okay, so these will mean a lot more to you in the more advanced lessons. Okay, so as long as you have those written down, we are all good. Why? What do you do with the rest of the strings? You look at that paper that you just wrote. If we are starting on the E string, what would be if you push down on the 1st fret? Remember, when I say push on the 1st fret, I don't mean push on the fret. It means play right behind it, in between the notes, okay? In between that fret, in between the nut. So look at your piece of paper. What is after E if we're going sharp? Look at it, you tell me. I'm giving you 5 seconds. Because we're on the E string, and we just made it sharper, or higher pitched. And you're hitting both strings, your fingers covering both strings. You'll always have lots of lines there because they're right next to each other. You can't play just one string. You probably could if you had little tiny hands. Okay, figured it out? That's an F. So we went from E to F because there is no sharp note between E and F. Then your 2nd fret will be F sharp. Then keep looking at your paper. It will keep changing. Then the G. Then to G sharp. Then to A, then to A sharp, then to B. And what else is there? It's between B and C, there are no sharps or flats. So you go B straight to C and on up. Same thing with your D string, or your D strings, which are these here, 2nd closest to your face or your chin. So D, you push on the 1st frets, or the 1st fret, both strings. What do you have after D? Then you play the 1st D, open. Remember, open means we're not playing anything on that string. Push down. What is that? Look at your paper. You have to for the first week or so. Then you'll start memorizing this. So after D, we're going to sharp it. Oh, there it is, D sharp. Up one more. What's that make it? Look at your paper. It just goes the alphabet. Once after D, E. And after E, there are no sharps, no flats. So E to F. And on up, F sharp. And look at your paper. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then right straight to C. Okay, one more string to cover. That is your G string. The closest to your chin, your G strings. I will generally say your G string because you're always playing both strings all the time. Okay, you're never going to try to pick one, then pick the other. Okay, there's just no reason for it, and it's not played that way. Okay, so you have G. When they're open, what's the 1st fret? When you play your note there. And you only have to push hard enough to make the notes happen. The big secret to this, making it happen, is your thumb on the back. You push with your thumb down, and it's like you're pinching somebody. Pinching them like this. So it's very, very important that your thumb is on the back of the neck and you pinch it towards your other finger. And that's what makes, because if you were just trying to push it here with no thumb, you would just push it back here and it would go behind you. So your thumb is very, very, very critical that it has to be back there and pinching the neck. Okay? You're like, why didn't you tell me that sooner? Because we're learning the notes, not how to play yet. Okay? So E, open, I'm sorry, G, open. And now do the first fret. That is G sharp. Next fret, second fret. That is A. Keep looking at the paper. A sharp. B. What's after B? It's just C. Again, no sharps, no flat thing. Okay? So there we are on B up to C. If we go C back down, it just goes to B, because it's not C flat, because there is no sharps or flats between those. And it goes on up. Okay, now you ready to make some music? I know I am. Okay, so let's once again discuss how we make some music here. Again, your thumb has to stay in some way, because we have to make some of these weird chords where your thumb's going to be wrapped around places. It won't be playing anything, but like this chord here, this is a D chord, which I'll show you later. But look where my thumb's at. Okay, now if I was to actually show you back here what's going on, it's grabbing around the whole back of the neck. So it's really holding on, and it's laying in the palm of my hand. So I'm using the palm of my hand to push against the back of the neck and to push my fingers towards the palm of my hand. So you always have to be pushing from the front of the fretboard or the fingerboard. It has to be pushing against some other part of your hand, whether it's your thumb or your palm. Okay, so it has to be pushing against whatever feels your elbow. A lot of people ask me that. It's whatever feels good. If it's sticking way out here like this, something's wrong. Okay, you don't. It just needs to be loosey goosey. All right. So that's all we need. Just whatever feels good and loose and easy to play. Okay. Then you need to hold it way up here like this. No, just lay it flat like that and make it look like it's supposed to. Just kind of the neck sticking straight out. Okay. Let's make our first chord. Okay, we're going to go for a. Let's go for a G chord. And what does this mean by a chord? A chord is when you play at least two different notes together. Okay, not meaning two different strings that are tuned identically like on this. It means two different notes. In this case, we're going to be playing 4 notes. Okay, what am I talking about? Okay, let's do this. I want you to remember on your left hand, if you are a right hand person, meaning you're holding your pick between your thumb on one side and at least your first finger, meaning your pointer finger. I'm not touching your finger. Holding it like this. See, my picks have holes in them. These are made for Sunday picks. They're holy picks. Okay, it matches my shirt. I like purple. Purple and black, my favorite colors. That hole is actually like this so that you can grab onto it and it won't spin around like regular picks will, because they're slippery. These are actually designed so your fingers touch each other there and they won't flip around. Anyway, some of you might want to put 2 fingers. What is this mess hanging off the edge of my fingers? Oh well, it's there and I'm nowhere near a pair of fingernail clippers, so you gotta deal with my fingers falling apart. Some of you might want to put 2 fingers, but you want to play with the tip of your pick, not the sides, not the butt, anything. If it's shaped like this, you want to play with the pointy end. Hold it like that. Your thumbs on the other side. They're pushing against each other, same as on your neck and your fretboard and all that. Okay, so they will be playing with the pointy part, going raking across your strings like this. Okay, just like you would think. Okay, do you need to play real hard? Only if you want it to be loud. If you want it to be softer, don't play as hard. See? Okay, so the louder you hit it, or harder you hit it, the louder it'll be. Okay, so let's cover, that's how you hold your pick. Okay, again, you don't play with the side of it or anything else. You play with the pointy part. That's what it's there for. Okay, again, I told you we need to arch our fingers, and we need to play with the tips of your fingers, your fingertips. Okay, on your E string, or your E strings, the ones that are closest to the ground. Okay, we want to go up to the G note. Okay, if you look at your paper, you'll find it. If you it takes forever, but I'm going to let you know right now. You're going to use, you have 4 fingers and a thumb here on your left hand. You have finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, finger 4. That's what we're going to call these all the time. So we're going to be your first finger, your second finger, your third finger, your fourth finger. I might call it your index finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, your pinky, and your thumb. You'll never play with your thumb, but you might use it for something. And when that pops up, I'll let you know. Alright? So we're going to do what is called the G chord. I'm going to teach you 3 chords, and this will be able to teach you how to play almost any song with these 3 chords. But then I get to teach you all the other ones too, and some other fun stuff. Okay, so the first chord, G chord. Okay, so up here on this E string, we take our second finger, okay, which is going to be your middle finger, because we had 1, 2. So your middle finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of your E string. So it will be like this. It will not be there. 1, 2, 3. It'll be right there on 3. And now you get the distinct pleasure of trying to rest this meaty part of your hand here by your pinky on top of this bridge. Okay? Now, if I haven't told you before, something very important though. If your bridge is in the wrong place, nothing's going to sound right. See that little point on the F hole? Right there? On the inside of it towards your bridge? Same over here. This part of your bridge should line up with that little part of the F hole, and it should make a straight line across to there. Okay, that's where it needs to be positioned. So if it's back somewhere else wrong, it will always sound out of tune. So that should have been pointed out earlier, but there it is before we start playing. If it's not there, put it there and then retune everything. Pause everything and come back, because it will make a major difference if your mandolin will actually sound in tune or not. So again, this part here that's closest to the neck, that part of the wood needs to be lined up directly with that innermost thing on the F hole where it points and stays straight across, and line up again, imaginary line from there to there on both sides. That's how it has to be. That way on these fiddles, oboes, that's something you blow on. Okay, elbows, violas, cellos, that's what I was looking for, cello. Cello, anybody home? Okay, not jello. Okay, so here we go back. Seriously, if it wasn't there before, fix it now, pause everything, retune it, come back. Okay. Okay, so we're at the 3rd fret with our 2nd finger here on this E string. And I want you to play it. And again, the meaty part of your hand, I want you to rest it on top of this bridge, right about here. Just put that part of your hand on there, and that's how it should look. Your hands should never have to be doing much more than this. Your wrist will do all the action, or your little fingers and thumbs, but you will not be doing this. Okay, that is a definite no-no. It will scratch your stuff up and you will play very poorly. So you want to use, put it this way, look at the way I play. Okay, so it stays there all the time. Enough said. Okay, so again, let's work on making that note sound good. If you can't hear it and it's doing this, press harder until you get just enough. Then you don't have to press any harder than that. If you press too hard, all you're going to do is hurt yourself. Okay, So press hard enough. If it is really hard and it's hurting, then that means you can probably use these little wheels here on your bridge and tighten them down so that the strings get closer to the frets here, so that it's not so hard to play. It might be that your strings are like way up here, and it would make it very hard to push down. It's hard to push down on little skinny wires like this. Like wires, I call them, other people call them strings, but if they are too far away from the frets, you have to push really hard, and you might even cut yourself. So make it go down lower. That's what these little wheels are for here on the side. They adjust what is called the action, which is see how close my strings are to those frets? Way down there. You can do that too. Okay? If for some reason it starts doing that farting noise when it gets way down there, you can take it to somebody and they can adjust your neck for you. Underneath this, this is called a truss rod. There's what is called a truss rod, a metal rod running down through the middle of your neck. It's made out of steel, and it's actually bent like this, curved, and you use a tool and it turns it, and it actually reshapes your neck so that it's bent one way or another. So if it's farting out on you, but it's still not low enough for you to be comfortable enough to play it, somebody can adjust that for you and make it work. They can actually reshape the curvature of your neck so that it'll play really, really good, and you don't have to push hardly at all. Okay? So back to our G chord. Okay, second finger, third fret. And just make it sound good. Keep your hand anchored here. Play those two strings together. That's what we're looking for. And try to get a real good rhythm like that. Just down, 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 down. Okay? Now here's where I start moving faster. I spent 50 minutes telling you all this stupid stuff. Now here's where I prove myself as a teacher, and you prove yourself as a quick learner from here on out. Now your first finger. Okay, here we go. Get ready for the roller coaster, kids. Is going to go on the second fret on your A strings, meaning these two strings. So the next set of strings up closer to your chin. Okay? Try to play just those two strings. If you can't, if they're farting, move them closer to the fret and push down just a little harder. Remember, you may not have to push down harder with this finger. You might have to push harder back here where your thumb is. Remember, that thumb's back here to help you. So push more on your thumb. So you push everything together. Now you can play all four strings. Okay, the two that you are fretting. Now guess what's the beautiful thing? That's the whole chord, which means that we can play the other two sets of strings, so the other four strings, open. So you can go these two. You can play them all. That's a whole G chord. You can play them all individually like this, which is a good thing for practice to make sure that you can hear them all. If one is screwing up like this, well, you can look at your fingers and figure out what's wrong, straighten it out, then play the whole chord. Use your wrist, not your hand, to go. That's not allowed. This is allowed. Okay, now you want these. There's a word called sustain. That means the note keeps going and going and going. I'm going to play the chord. This is a G chord. The chord, again, is a group of 2 or more notes. So we're actually putting 8 notes together because we have 8 strings on this thing. So we got 8 whole notes going. And that is sustain. It keeps going. Mute means to put your palm on the strings and shut it up. So if you want to mute it, you don't put it on the bridge, you put it on the strings in front of the bridge right here. you want the sustain, just hit them. Your hands on the bridge, but not here to stop the notes. So here's sustain, here's muting. But there are other ways of muting. I want to show this to you now. You can put whatever other fingers you have left on your strings, one finger, two finger, whatever you have left over on the strings, but don't push on them at all. Just lay them there. Don't put any pressure on them. This gives you something, and I'll show you this picking motion too, but that gives you this. Okay, so that's what's coming up next, and you want that. So, okay, so what we're doing here is I'm hitting the G string, which is up here closest, or at the top. Okay, I'll just tell you that's the top of your instrument. This is the bottom, because it's down towards the bottom. Top is up towards the ceiling. So your top string, strum down, then strum up. So top string, your G string, then your strumming pattern is what this is called. So you hit the G string, then everything down, and then back up. Okay? And that is our first strumming pattern. So G string, down, up, G string, down, up, G string, down, up, G string, and this has to get very, very, very ingrained into your brain, and we have what's called muscle memory. Your right hand will now learn how to do this. You can just sit there and watch TV for a half hour, go. And if that's what it takes, if it takes 2 hours, I don't care. That's what it takes. Okay? It's called practice makes perfect. So let's get that to happen. You have to do it slow, and then we'll actually work into as you get quicker. That's what you want to get to. Don't worry about getting much faster than that. It will come naturally. Okay? Now the other little thing I want to introduce into this, now that we have it, I'm going to go fast because I have a lot to teach you. And you can pause anytime you want. Okay? The other thing I want to show you, while you have this G chord here, and we'll do a lot more with this, from here on out, yeah, like I said, we're going to learn a lot. So pay attention. The little muting thing. Okay, you hear me going the G string, down, up, and then I just kind of mute it with these fingers. Again, I'm not pushing down, they're just laying on the strings to shut them up. So G string, down, up, and after it comes up, as soon as I go up, I put those down just to shut things up. And then when I hit the G string again, it's still muted. So all I want to hear is the G string, down, up, mute, it shuts up. G string is being muted, but I still want to hear the click. So you're still going to be going, and only thing that changes, so you're hitting the G string, but it's just going to make a click because it's muted, then down, up, then muted again. Click the G string, down, up, mute it again. So watch my muting. Okay, you'll use both of them in different times. Some you want to go like this. But when people are singing, you need to lay off of the instrument, which means not play as much, but doing so, you can still keep that rhythm going, but mute it a little bit. So that gives them, or you, something you can sing louder than. But if you got this going, you can't hear it when somebody's trying to sing, so you bring it down, as they call it, by using this muting technique. Okay? So that's something else to work on. and to work on playing softer while you're doing that. Or playing louder, but still while maintaining control and without going and scratching up your instrument. Okay, yes, you can replace these, but don't wear it out on the first day. Okay? Okay, you get to make up some strumming patterns too. Okay, with my old-fashioned camera here, I get to take this point and I get to pause and put in a new tape of all things, and then I will come right back and we'll continue on with this. Okay, so from here on out, it's going to fly like you've never flown before. You'll be using, and I expect you to use, the pause button a lot, the rewind button a lot. Okay, so I will be right back. We'll start right here again and throw a few more chords in and start singing and hollering and whooping and wallering in the mud and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be back in 2 and 2. What's that mean? 2 minutes, 2 seconds. No, actually it'll be, well, it won't, it will be that long if I don't shut up. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, we're back. Or I'm back. I don't know if you are. Okay, so we just did the G, and we did the strumming, and we did the muting. Or just open sounding or sustaining. Okay, now real quick, just because we have to look at the notes that are in this. What are they? If you grab your paper, or if you have analyzed this enough, which you can never do enough, the note that is played on your E string, the one closest to the floor, goes from E to F because there's no E sharp, F sharp, and G. So we're playing a G chord. That is a G note. Okay, there are other notes in this at the same time. What are these here at the 2nd fret? Here on our A string. Well, A sharp, and B. Okay, so we know that the 2 notes we're playing are G and B. But then we're playing the other 2 strings by themselves. They're open. Okay, what is the name of the next set of strings up? So these right here are next to the top ones are our D notes. So we have 3 different notes. We have G, B, and our open D strings. And then we have these open strings. What is that? What are these strings? Look at your list if you have to. You probably do so far. Those are our G strings. Wait, we have G here, and we have G here. So on top and bottom, but they're actually like what are called 2 octaves apart from each other. So it would take this note all the way up to the 2 dots, where it's an octave higher, and then even go up higher than that in order to get way up to this note. Okay, but they are both G notes. So we have G, B, and D. And then just another G. You're allowed to have more than one of any note, that's fine. But any chord will have at least 2 notes in it, like the G and the B. And to make it a full chord, this is actually called a triad. Tri meaning 3, T-R-I, not try like I have to try to play this thing, but just a little extra stuff here for you to learn. So that's called a triad when you're playing 3 different notes, being your G note, your B notes, and your D. Okay, now when you're messing around, which is the half the fun, okay, you don't have to just strum. You can and that is just taking some fancy fingering work, okay? This is music. It is yours. Write something that somebody else hasn't written yet. But mess around. That's where you discover things. I am 100% self-taught. I taught myself everything and how to play about 20 different instruments. Okay? So, that's how you learn to do things, is not by watching me so much. I get you started, but then the best way to learn is to put my little piece of paper aside and try to figure out how things work on their own. Okay? So it's not just, you can do that together. Okay, so add them together. Do whatever you want. It's yours. Okay, it's your time. Make up your own songs on day one. You don't have to play other people's music for a living or for fun. If that's what you want to do, cool. If you want to become rich and successful, you have to play your own music that you write. So, might as well start writing today. But we need more than one chord, don't we? Okay? Okay, I'm going to show you something really quick though. While we are playing here in G, I'm going to show you what are called options. What is an option? Things that you can add to it or take away from this. Just things to change it so it don't just sound like this all the time. Okay? Okay, that's already fun and sounding cool already. What am I doing? First thing I'm going to teach you is what is called a hammer-on. Okay, on our A string, where we have our first finger here on the 2nd fret. I want you to take that finger off now. I want you to play those two strings, the two A strings. And then it's called a hammer-on. See, look at my nice curved fingers, playing with my fingertips like I should be. My thumb is kind of up here, but I'm still pushing on the back with it. So, this hammer-on thing, what is this? You actually pretend like the end of your finger is a hammer and you're trying to hammer a nail into that 2nd fret. Okay, so you play those two strings together, the two A strings, and then you hammer that in real hard where it's supposed to go. Okay, so you can go, but you only hit it one time with your pick. Okay, so I went G string, down, up like we normally do. Then I grab those strings there on the A string and do that hammer-on. Pick it once, and then do my down, up with my pick. I missed it. Getting more interesting already. Work on that until you have it. That is an option. Okay, so there are a lot of options with every single chord. Okay, so there's our G chord, but there's a lot we can do with this. We can dress it up. Okay? Okay, so there's a lot we can do. I'll show you a few more things we can do, and then we'll move on. This is the part where I fly through it, and you get to run back and pick up these little things that dress them up. Okay, so we have this, where we're going from the A, hammering onto the B. Okay, that takes some getting used to. When you don't get it the first 100 times, don't give up. It has something to do with your thumb or something else. Just work on it until you get it. Don't get discouraged. There's no reason to get mad, angry, whatever. It will come to you. I played forever, and all of a sudden everything finally just came to me, and I forgot that I was having problems, and I just started playing. I didn't know it happened, but it just happened without me knowing it. Okay, how long did it take? I don't remember. I'm an old man now. Okay, the other thing we can do, if your fingers are skinny enough, and hopefully they are, is taking that B note, that one, and taking it from B to C, which is, because remember, there's nothing between B and C. So that's actually trying to get two fingers on top of each other on the same fret. So you take it from the 2nd fret, move it to the 3rd fret. That takes a big, let me get some light on the subject here, that takes a big change in where your wrist and everything else is moving. See, my thumb's moving over the top, everything's changing. But that takes some doing to get both fingers on that 3rd fret. But what do you get out of it? Listen, play it. You playing around? Listen. But you'll always want to come back to your regular G chord with any of these little options you're doing. Then finally to come back, this is what I call coming back home. Come back to your regular G chord. Okay, no matter what else I throw at you. Okay, so that's another cool one, especially if you are picking. This is strumming. This is picking. That's the difference. Strumming, picking. Picking still. What am I doing? I'm just hammering off from the open A string to the 3rd fret, to the C note. Okay? So we can do that. We can do whatever we want. That's what makes music personal. Do whatever sounds good to you. Okay? The other options here, then we're moving real fast to other chords. You can actually take that same 2nd fret that you're doing here on your A string, going up to, what string is this? Or what set of strings? That's right, those are your D strings. What note is that at the 2nd fret? You tell me. D, D sharp, that's an E. Okay? So you can actually throw that in quickly. Okay, these can't hang around long, but it is an option. Okay, so I'm playing G. So I'm doing open D string, slamming on, hammering on to the E note, 2nd fret. Then I'm playing an open A string, which is usually a no-no on this, but we can do that. Then back to our regular G. So that's another option. Another thing here, which I told you was a no-no, this is a maybe. You can actually flatten out your finger, and this is called bar, B-A-R-R-E, where you cover more than one string or more than one set of strings with your fingers. So I'm going to cover these strings and these strings. So on your A strings and your D strings, both at the same time. That's called a bar chord. Okay, so you can play the whole thing like that, and then take off that one note. Okay, so you're pushing down on 4 strings actually with that one. But what this can help with is when you're doing the finger picking, or the picking part. Okay, when you're trying to do all that. Okay, you can do them. And then bring it back home. But you can play all those notes in the middle, hammering on, actually literally hammering on 4 strings at one time. So you're playing both sets of strings, and then coming up on that high E string. Then you have to come back home to your G string. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you on that, you can actually go there if you want on the 2nd fret too, but if you're a little pinky, you haven't used it yet, you can take it to the next dot, your 5th fret up here on your high E string, and your 7th fret. I want you to do these. Okay, these are options that are very crucial, and they are what makes a mandolin sound like a mandolin. Mandolins are supposed to be high-pitched sounding. That's why they are so small. The smaller the instrument, the more higher pitched it gets. Okay, so we have to use our pinky now. Okay, and again, we have the dots here to help us. So the 5th fret will have a dot, 7th fret will have a dot. We're going to use our pinky, again, the tip. Okay, here's your G chord. Now we're going to put our pinky on the 5th fret on our E string. Now up to the 7th. If you think that's a stretch, you should try that on guitar. Again, our pinky can now go to the 5th fret of our A string and hammer on. So you're doing 2nd fret, 5th fret. Then you hit pick upward and hit that E string, which has the G note on it. So watch this. You can use this finger to make it a lot easier for that particular one, because this finger is stronger. Your 3rd finger or your ring finger. What's that? Ah, fun stuff. That is a hammer on. Then what's called a pull off. Okay, this is a new technique for you. Hammer it on from the 2nd fret to the 5th on your A string. Now to pull off, you're not using your pick to make that. You have your finger here. You kind of bend it down. I'm putting it right up here. You take it and you pick it when you let go. Okay? So that's what gives it 3 notes. You only pick with your pick once. And the same thing is done again on your high E string with that same finger, but you go from the 3rd fret that's already there at home on your G string, and you go, or on your E string but at the G note, take it up to the A note, which is at that 5th fret I said you could go to with your pinky, and do that same thing there. Hammer on, pull off. So you do one first. That's something to work for. That is advanced stuff. But here it is. So you'll get to work on it whenever you want to work on it. I give it to you. You go there at your own pace. Okay? So there's that. That is cool. Then your pinky can go all the way up to the 7th fret, back to the 5th, and to the 5th fret here on the A string. Okay, so those are all of your options that I get to teach you today in a chord called G. So you have this. Lifting your finger on the A string, 2nd fret, going up to the 3rd fret, picking, back down to the G, and you can do the 2nd fret on your D string, back to home plate, hammer on both of them to those 2 notes, back home. We can do pinky to 5 and 7. 5 and 7 meaning 5th and 7th fret here on your E string. And we have our hammer-ons and pull-offs, which are hard. In both positions you can do. That's something to strive for, but work on it. But putting together. If you want that, that is just your G. That's this note here. 5th fret on your A string. Twice. 6th fret with your pinky. 5th fret again. Now we have to play 2nd fret on our E string. And finally back to the 3rd fret. So come back and grab the whole chord if you want. Okay, so there's everything in G. That's a bunch of stuff throwing at you. Okay, new chord time. We're going to go to C. Now the great thing about this is you're going to love is it is the simplest thing in the world. Why? Because it is exactly what I just showed you in G. So this will take you 1/10 of the time that I showed you what I showed you in G. So this whole thing, we have one finger at the 3rd fret on your E string, and then your next finger here at the 2nd fret on your A string. We're going to take them and just move them both up one string. One's up in the air, closer to your chin. Okay? Now here's where it gets tough though, for only one reason. I actually like to, for this one, sometimes I switch and use 2 different fingers, so I have the devil horns, no, playing those. Sometimes I do that on the G chord too. You can use whatever fingers you want, whatever works for you. There are no rules here, okay? So if these 2 fingers don't feel right, use 2 different fingers. It doesn't really matter, okay? So know that. So all we're doing is taking everything, moving it up. I'll go ahead and stick with my original plan just for now. Again, you can use these 2 fingers, whatever you want, and it will determine later by what fingers you have free to do the alternate stuff that you can throw in there, your extra stuff. But I'll stick with these, okay? So we're going to be on our A string, 3rd fret, so A sharp, B, and then nothing between B and C, so that is a C. So we're going to do a C chord actually. Okay, so everything will be in C now. This was a G chord. And this C chord fits next in line with 90% of the songs that you'll ever want to learn. We'll have 3 chords in it. In this particular way, it will be done with G, C, and D. Write it down. 3 chords you want to use if you're in the key of G will be the G chord, followed by the C chord, and you will also add in the D chord, as in dog. Okay, to build the rest of the C chord is exactly like the G chord. Just move it up one. Everything else, play it. Okay, now where you're going to mess up is not arching your fingers right. Okay, I want to hear that E string right now while you're playing this. Can you hear yours while you're playing this? Yours is probably going. Why? Because your fingers are not arched up. If you look down under there, your fingers are probably touching those strings. They can't do that. You have to arch them up and let them ring. They have to be like a railroad tunnel. You have to get a train through there. See how that looks like train tracks? You can't block the tracks. You have two tracks there, just like on a real railroad track. Okay? So you have to have that arch on your fingers, just like that, on both of these. Because if you can't hear the next, I'll move that out of the way. You have to build a tunnel to be able to hear that note too that you're fretting down there. So these have to be really, really arched and really, really playing on the tips of your fingers. And then your fingernails cannot be touching these strings. So like I said, people with fat fingers probably should not be playing a mandolin. You have such little area to work with. Okay? So now we want to play all these and hear them all. Okay? Now most importantly, get back down here on your bridge where your hand is supposed to be. Anchor right there. So G is here. Now C. Back to G. Back to C. Back to G. Back to C. Okay, so the best thing you can do with your time right now is pause this, take a half hour, and go. And literally do that. Your muscles have to be trained to do that. It's like your fingers are glued together. Okay? As dumb as it sounds, you don't think it's going to take that long to learn? Bull. It's going to take that long just to do that. Why? Because it's new to your muscles. It's new to your brain. You've never done this before. As stupid as that looks, and as simple as it looks, that's one of the harder things you're going to have to do. Okay? So, what are our notes in this C chord? We have now an open E string down here. Open meaning because nothing's playing it because we left the railroad tracks there. We have the note we know is C because we're on the A string, A sharp, B, C. Okay, now we're going to our D string, and we're going to the second fret, but it's D, D sharp, E. So we have E, we have C, and E again. So we only have two different notes actually. We have two E's and a C. We have an E, E. Those are the same notes, but they're just one octave apart, meaning 12 notes apart from each other. And then we have our C note. Well, we need another note. What is it? Oh, duh. It's up here at the top. It's our open G strings. So we have C, E, and G all together make up what is called a C triad and the whole C chord. Okay, now I said we're going to get to fly through this one. Why? Because you do everything the same as we did on the G chord, as far as all your little things you can add in. Okay, so we can do, and you can take that one finger and move it up. You can do that hammer on. You add them both together. Okay, that ain't working. That works. So you can take this finger away, this one here, with your first finger, and you can put it on the first fret on your E string if you want, but then you have to only play a couple strings down here at the bottom. So you have this, then you can't play that string that this was on your D strings. You have to get rid of it and just play these two strings, but you can play them. Then back here, you can play the top one though, but you have to leave out that D string. You can play the top ones on these, then back there. Okay, And we know we can actually put a finger, meaning our ring finger, on the 3rd fret back there on our old friend, the G. Why? Because we have a G string already. So we can make that G note again by trying to cram a finger, our ring finger, in all this. Trying to cram it right there on that 3rd fret on your E string. So now we have 2 G notes, one on each side, but you play it all together. Take it off, put it back on. Okay, and again you have your, and you can do this one, or you can do the, just like before, no difference. And you can go to the 5th fret and 7th fret, but not of that high E string anymore. It has to be, because we moved everything up, you have to use your brain. Since we moved everything up, now you have to do everything on the 2nd strings, or your A strings, but at the 5th fret, 7th fret. So here it is, C chord, 5th fret, and 7th fret. But you can't hit that E string anymore, only 3 strings. Because when you're trying to do this, your finger is going to flatten out and it's going to land on that E string, and it's going to sound like this if you play it wrong. And you don't want that. So just, I'm the teacher, and I'm here to point these out. So if you're going to do it on the C chord, go ahead and just play down 3 sets of strings, and don't hit that high E string unless you're finally back home. Then you can play the whole chord. Okay? Wasn't that quick? Those are all your options. You're like, what's all that? That's just what I showed you. These are called phrasing, is what the next one is. If you want to talk like that, then you can play like that. Does that sound good? No. But if I want to, do I want to talk like that? Hey, that's starting to get some soul. Yeah, you can figure that one out because I already showed you how to do it, but do it there. Okay, so that is called phrasing. That's all kinds of fun junk that you can toss in there. You have to have the groove inside of you to speak with your music. It's all about talking like this. If you want to play like that, you are never going to be any good at all. You will suck your whole life. But if you want to sing it and play it and phrase it your way, again, you can do this. We're in C. So this is limitless. It is up to you. That cha-cha-cha. You've heard cha-cha-cha. Do I have to tell you cha-cha-cha? Okay? Really, think about things like that. Things that you've heard. Cha-cha-cha. It's been done for millions of years. Listen to music now and listen to things that you want to play. And if you hear something go cha-cha-cha, well then by all means go cha-cha-cha. You know, you can go. It's up to you. You already know how to play them now. Okay, because I showed you what to do. Now you have to phrase them. Okay, phrase them means give them a voice instead of a robot voice. Okay, so those are the little tricks. Okay, right from there to the next chord, the D chord. Okay, this is another simple one. Everything I'm teaching you are simple ones. And this one is cool, the way this one works. Okay, we get to go to the E string, the ones towards the floor, middle finger, 2nd fret. What note is that? So E, F, because there's nothing between E and F, no sharps or flats. E, F, F sharp. Okay? And our only other finger that we have to use is also on the 2nd fret, but way up here on the G note, on the G string. 2nd fret. The other two are open, but you have to, that's right, build your train tracks in your tunnel. Okay, and let them all ring. Play it all. This is your D chord. What note is that here? That's your G string, G sharp, A. So we have an F sharp and an A. But we also have two sets of strings that are open. What are they? These right here are your Ds. That's what makes it a D chord. So D string, surrounded by an F sharp and an A. Okay, which means this here has to be repeating something. What is it? Oh, by golly, that's A. Our A strings are open, same as the ones up here in our G string at the 2nd fret. So we have A's here, we have A's here. So repeating them is fine. It makes them fuller, and we get to play all strings. Okay? So we have now our 3 chords that we can play so many songs with. Okay, now I'll show you all the fun junk to go with the D stuff here in a second. But listen. G, C, back to G, back to D, back to G, C, and G, D, and G. Okay? Can you hear how this is going to work? Now here's a song some of you might have heard, some of you have never heard, some of you never want to hear it again. Okay? With those 3 chords, I'm going to whip out an old country song by Merle Haggard called Big City. Okay? I'll just kind of show you how this kind of goes. And I will kind of sing along with it, but show you how those 3 chords can play so many songs that you've heard before. Okay? Well, I'm tired of this dirty old city, and I'm tired of too much work and never enough play. And I'm tired of these dirty old sidewalks. I think I'll walk off my steady job today. So turn me loose, set me free, somewhere in the middle of Montana, and give me all I've got coming to me. skip your retirement and your so-called Social Security. A big city turned me loose and set me free. Okay, so those are 3 chords. A little bit high for me to be singing at this time of night. It is 3 o'clock in the morning while I'm doing this. Okay, now a little hint for you. This is something called a 7th. Okay, this is how to get from one chord to another and make it sound cool. Okay, I'm like to the C, but before I go to that C, here's something that makes this cool. Okay, whatever note is your root note. What is a root note? I'm playing in the key of G. What is my G note? My highest G note, in case there's 2, which there are in this. There's the low G's here, and then that real high G here on this E string. You take that note and you flat it, which means going this way, so the note goes down in pitch. You flat it 2 notes. Okay, so if I wanted that note there to be flatted 2 notes, it has to go back 1 fret, back 2 frets. So I have to go from here. I can't reach that finger underneath there, so I have to do this, reposition my fingers, so that that note will end up back there. You see what I'm doing? I'm keeping something still on this 2nd fret here on our A string. I'm just switching fingers, and you have to do that. Okay, G, then G7, because I want that note back, 2 of them. And then go to C. Okay, now that is usually useful on the 1st chord or whatever key the song is in. This song is in the key of G, because that's what we've been working on. So like, I'm tired of this dirty old city. So you can hear that the chord is getting ready to change to your C. So it is something, it's called a leader note, L-E-A-D-E-R. Everybody follow the leader. Somebody in the band always plays a 7th. That's what that's called. That's explained in theory videos, which I'll have on other videos for you. But for now, just to know that you'll use it in G only. Okay? If we were playing in a different chord, you would use it in that chord. But in this song, since we're playing in the key of G, and that's always going to be our home plate, you can use that 7th chord to take you into the next chord, which is your C chord. So we're going from G, G7 to C. And that's the only time you'll use it. Back to G, to D, back to G, G7 to C, back to G, to D, okay, I'll show you that because that's part of the D messing around stuff options. But you see how that 7th works really cool. If we were in C and playing different chords, we'd be like C7 to F. Okay, but I have to teach you all those chords too. Okay, so let's get to our options in D, and then we'll just keep on keeping on. Okay, so we are in the key of D. The one I did to bring us back to G, when I went, I just added my pinky to the 5th fret, way up here on that high E string, which makes it an A note. And then back to G. Okay, so I did G, G7, C, slow it down, G, D, add that 5th fret, then back to G, switching back and forth from G to C. Sounds cool. Or you can go G, C, G, D, G. Use your brain. Use your sense of wonderment. Explore. Find out what sounds good. I don't get to show you everything. I don't want to show you everything. The things you're going to learn fastest and keep in your brain the longest are the things I don't show you. The things that you find on your own. That's what you'll hang on to. Okay. The other options in D. Things we can mess with. Okay, there are so many. Everything on the 2nd fret is fair game on every string. Okay, so whatever you can do. That's a hammer on, as is on any of the strings from open to hammering on the 2nd fret. Pull off. I like that one on the D, the low one, just putting it back on where it goes from open. Same with this first one. Everything on open and the 2nd fret is up to your imagination. You can add 3rd fret on your high E string. Check this out. Lift it off. 3rd fret. We already know we can put our pinky at the 5th fret because I showed you that a minute ago. Okay, so those are all open, and oddly enough, so are the 4th frets. If you want to play these, this is lead instead of rhythm. Rhythm is, okay, when we're doing this, we're kind of mixing rhythm with lead, but that's why a lot of you came here to learn stuff like that. You can do that in this key. Okay, you can go hammer on from open G string up to 2 and 4, and then finally your D string open. So that's, hit it one time with your pick. That takes getting used to. Practice, 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 practice till you puke. And you're kind of using this part of your hand to kind of hold on to the neck because everything else is being used. Same thing on the next set of strings. Then the 2nd fret of your A string, pull off, then backward, pull offs all of them. Hit it once on the 4th, pull off to the 2nd, pull off to open, then 4, 2, and then hit your D string. So on your low G string, pull off from 4 to 2, don't go to open on this time, and then, see, so we have so you can like be playing a D, and you'll have to run that back because I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on this because I'm showing it to you a couple times, then we're going to keep moving. Got a lot to show you. Again, that's what your pause button and rewind's for. Okay. See, everything on the 2nd fret is fair game. Everything on the 4th fret, except for on this top one, you want to go to the 5th fret. Because if we went to the 4th fret, not good. You want to go to the 5th. Okay. Okay, so there are your 3 chords. G, G7, and C. If you want to go something crazy there, just for fun, it's just weird. It's a weird name chord. I won't even get into it, but just drop or flatten that finger 1 fret. Back to G. Listen to this. G to C. Now drop that finger. Back to G and D. That big pinky up here sounds great, don't it? And then you can get rid of the pinky right before you go back to G. And that sounds really neat too. So, okay, G, C, G. Okay, so with all them options and all that lead, you could be doing all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, the options that I'm showing you, these, back to the G again. Okay, so you know you can go up to this here, the 3rd fret, and you can go to the 5th fret with your pinky, and you can go to the 5th fret and 7th fret with your pinky. Mess around. You'll find the notes that suck and the notes that don't suck. But okay, so you can play the lead stuff, the 1 finger stuff without the... Okay, so mess around with those notes, not just while you're playing rhythm. Okay, so don't just put them in there. Mess around. Go exploring, just like you're exploring a cave or whatever. It is time to explore. So all these notes, now that you know where they're at, play, then throw in all those options, but as lead stuff. Okay? Hey, there's all kinds of stuff that can be found. Okay? Show you this real quick and leave this to you to mess with. This is called the G major scale. I'm going to play it backwards from G all the way down. And then whatever key you're playing in, if it's in C, then you start with a C note. But it's always going to be played the same, meaning the way it's played. I'll show you what I mean. But real quick before I change this tape, okay, start from the G. Then we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the E string. Okay. Okay, we're reaching all the way with our ring finger to the 7th fret of our A string. So now we're going to go, I'm going to name numbers. These are going to be the numbers of the frets, all on this A string. 7, 5, 3, 2. So there you're on the side with the markers. 7, 5, 3, 2. So the only time we're getting off the marker is on the 2. So we go 3, 2, then our next string, our A string, 7, 5, 3, 2. Now the next string is just going to be 7 and 5. And that's it. That is the G major scale. Okay, with that you can play anything, my friends. Don't believe me? Play it just one at a time. That's using only those notes. Okay, so that's using only those notes. You can play anything anything using those notes as your lead notes. That was just doing that, but I'm just going. Playing them fancy, just by going. Same notes, but just starting one before them and playing them a different way. You can play them upward. Use your voice. This is your phrasing again. But while you're playing a G, somebody's going along that, you can do. What I do there, I just use the 5 to the 7. These are from just figuring out something to do. I did a hammer-on from 5 to 7 on our A string, and then just right back to our 3rd fret on our E string, our root note, the G. So I'm just making it up as I go, which is what I want you to do. You have to explore to make music. Okay, so if we're playing in C, now you start there on the C note and do that exact same thing. So you have to memorize that pattern. Okay, so you have to, it's the pattern you have to memorize, nothing else. If we were in A, it would be way up here. There's A. So now, so it's always going to be the same, but it's just the pattern. Okay? So that will become one of the most important things you've ever learned, is that. It's called your major scale. Okay? But you got guitar players and everybody playing. You get an eye and I get a pole, honey. You could be. Okay, all that kind of stuff. That's where the mandolin really starts to shine, when you get to play that. And then you go to C, and you can play the same stuff. All that is those same notes. But it's a matter of what order you want to put them in. Those are 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same in C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those notes are always going to work. You can't hit a wrong note if you're playing those notes in any order you want. But you'll find orders that you like better than others. Okay? So, now we're 2 hours into this, and I have only taught you 3 chords. Okay, for this next hour, I'm going to teach you all the rest of the chords. Okay, so the rest of it's going to fly by, and the best thing I could tell you to do is play along with them. Number 1, yourself, but we get to find just any old songs, and you can play right along with them. Most songs that you're going to play this instrument to are only going to have 2 or 3 chords in it, and I'm going to tell you what those chords are going to be in every key. Okay. So if you want to write it down right now, I'll tell you real quick. Okay? If I told you if a song is in G, it's going to have a G, C, and a D chord in it. Okay? If the song is in A, write it down. It's going to have a, D, and E chord in it. Let's say the song is in the key of C. The song will have a C, F, and G chord in it. Okay, now let's say, what other key? Because the song was in the key of E. The 3 chords will be E, A, and B. Okay, if it's in D, it'll be D, G, and A. That's worth the price of admission to this video already. Okay, that's it. Those are all the different chords or keys you can be in. Okay, and as long as you know those, have them written down, you'll memorize them, because you have to memorize certain things. Some of this is homework. The next hour, which will be probably our last, will be learning the rest of the chords. And then that little piece of paper that you just wrote all them chords on, yeah, I'll show you the little fancy things with the rest of the chords, but they're going to fly by a lot faster than what we've just done them, because you've already learned the scales, you've learned how to solo, you've learned how to do everything. This 2 hours will probably take you 20 hours to actually learn, but I guarantee you, I'm going to teach you more than any other teacher in the world ever on one video. Okay, so I get to change this tape again and come back and we'll keep hammering away. Why? Because we can. Be right back. Okay, hey, we're back here again. I'm going to teach you the next 3 set of chords. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of the time for our lessons. And the quick variations, since you kind of get the idea of how they're going now. And hopefully you have paused and stopped the video many times up to this point and really work things out. Okay, the next set that you should have written down of chords are going to be in the key of C. The 3 chords are going to be 2 of them that you already know. So we have to only learn 1 new chord to make 3 chords that will work together. So we have to do C. What are the 3 chords? You have them wrote down. Which one are you missing? Which one do you not know how to play? There is a C in there. I know there's a G chord in there, and there's one more other chord that we have to play in the key of C. That's right, it is the F chord. So we know how to play a C chord already. And we know how to play, that will be the first chord, F will be the second chord, and then G will be the third chord. We have to play an F chord. This one is the most stretched out chord we have. This is played simply by, we have a, think of the alphabet, everything gets in the alphabet. What's the closest note to F? Okay. E. Right before you go to E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the closest note to F is E. So we'll use our E string. There's no sharp surf or anything between E and F, so it's just the first fret. We play the first fret here on the E string. And then we get to use an open A string. Okay. Then we actually go to our D string, 3rd fret up. What note is that? We have to kind of figure these things out. You have to know them. So we'll learn them as we go. On the D string is D, D sharp, E, then E to F. So it's just another F, so it should sound the same. Yep, octaves apart. And we have one more note, which is oddly enough stretched way up here, up on your G string. So at the 5th fret. So yeah, you got it looks like this. So that is G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then C. Okay, so we have F, then an A note, or A chord, A open string, then F again, then C, F, A, C. Almost like face. But there's no E in here, you can't use an E during an F. Okay, so you gotta make some major train tracks underneath this middle finger, guys. Okay, because you gotta let that A string ring out, so you need some train tracks going right through there. So make sure you hear them all. Because you'll probably have... Okay, so arch them back up, get them up there. With this chord, I typically end up with my thumb, look where it's at. And that's just because that's where it ends up if you have your chord played correctly. That's just kind of where your hand needs to be. It's just kind of resting right here on the back. Okay? Check that puppy out. That's just where it feels comfortable to hold it right back there. So if you're trying to hold it here, it's gonna feel wrong. So just to let you in on a secret, best place to put it, right back there. Boink, boink, put it back there in the back. So there's your F. Okay, so we have, from the beginning, C, F, back to C, to G, back to C, C7. What'd you say? I showed you that a while back. From the C, looks just like the G chord. So since the C looks just like it, you want to take that C note and go back 2 frets with it. So instead of this, remember how we changed positions? Just so we can make that note go back and keep this one here on the 2nd fret. So from C to C7 to F. So if you can do that, that's cool. If you can't, learn it. Serious. Okay, because you got to do it. Okay, so C, C7, F. Last time, C, G, back to C, F, C, G, C. Okay, so that is your F. What can you do with the F? See, we only had to learn one new chord that time to learn how to play in this key. So now we can be like, I'm tired of this dirty old city, and I'm tired of too much work and never enough play. Hear how they work together? And I'm tired of these dirty old sidewalks. This is Merle Haggard, by the way. Think I'll walk off my steady job today. It's called Big City if you want to learn it up. Turn me loose, set me free, somewhere in the middle of Montana, and give me all I've got, coming to me. Play some lead. And keep your retirement in your so-called Social Security. There and see. The big city, turn me loose and set me free. That same scale I taught you before, right there. Okay, so now you know those 3. In F, what can you do with it? You can actually take and do what's called a bar. We talked about it before, B-A-R-R-E, where you put 2 fingers or cover a couple strings. You can do that on the 1st fret. You can cover all them strings, half of them, and then play the rest the same, and then back to normal. So you can just flatten out that finger there, put it back. The other thing you can really only do, not a whole lot, you can add your pinky right here on the 5th fret of your D string, which is right underneath that ring finger. So from the 3rd fret to the 5th, and then play that open A string. If you have your bridge built, it's hard to build that bridge. Okay, Okay, the other thing you can do is add your pinky to the 5th fret of your high E string way down here. So you can do your 5th fret on every string. You can put it on your A string and take it off real quick. Okay, so those are your options. I told you we're going to go fast for the rest of this. So there's your 3 chords in the key of C, C, F, and G, and your options for your F. Okay, our next chords we're going to learn are all going to be new ones. Okay, we haven't played any of these before. So we need to play E in the key of E. Okay, E, A, and B. Okay, how are we going to do this? Okay, these are all really scrunched up and tight. Okay, so this is a whole new ball game, but we got to do them fast. Okay, E, you have an E string, so we'll leave that alone, leave it open. We need to add a B, which is going to be using your ring finger, 2nd fret on your A string. Then you're going to use your middle finger, 2nd fret on your D string, which is another E note. Okay, now if you can, you get to cram your 1st finger up here on your G string on the very 1st fret. So they are jammed in there, folks. So you got 2 of them on the 2nd fret, 1 of them on the 1st fret, then that E string down here open. So that is your E chord. That's a hard one to make sound good. If you can't make it sound really good, see where my thumb's at? That's really squeezing around the top part of that neck, trying to really push down everything as hard as I can. Okay? You can put your pinky on the 4th fret as an alternate. 2nd fret. Okay? And you can also go to the 4th fret on your A string. So you get the 4th fret on your E string, 2nd fret on your E string, open, then 4th fret on your A string, take it off. The only thing else you have if you want to do it is try to move that 1 finger up 1 more fret so that you have all of them on the 2nd fret. You can't hardly play them all because it's just really hard to do. Okay, a lot of people tend to get rid of this finger and only play 3 sets of strings, and they just kind of use their thumb over here to shut these up, not pushing down on them, but just whatever. But a lot of people don't like to put that down there, but that's the real way you play it, and those are all your alternatives. Okay, moving right along. Yep, we're going that fast. Okay, next one is going to be your A chord. Okay, so the A, we have an A string, so we're going to be using that, and it's going to be simply this. Okay, what you have is your middle finger here on the top string, on your G string, G sharp, A. So you just moved it up 2 frets. The middle finger is going to be your A note. And we have open A strings here, way down there. But now all we actually need to do is put 1 more finger and cramming them in again on your D string, 2nd fret, which is going to make it an E. Because it was D, D sharp, E. And we add our A again. So we have A, E. Now we have A, E. So A, E, A, E. That's what we have. Okay, so that's it. Play it. Okay, so E was just like that. Just drop it down. Put your finger there. Okay, so there's E. Now to do A, we get rid of that finger and simply take these 2 fingers and bring them up there. That's A. Back to E, drop them down, put the finger there. A, get rid of the finger, bring them back up. Okay. Our next chord is going to be one of the harder ones that you've ever done, and this is the B. Okay. What we have to do here is the same thing, but we have to really change things up. Okay. So we're going to keep these two notes, but we got to do them with two different fingers. Let's do the pinky and the ring finger there. Okay. Now let's take them, instead of being on the 2nd fret, put them up here on the 4th fret. I know this stinks. This is the hardest one you'll have. Okay. So instead of 2nd fret, they're on the 4th fret with those fingers. Why? Because we have to use this one big finger to bar, B-A-R-R-E, across every string. Now we get to play it. That's it. That's the hardest one you're going to have ever. And you are really putting some thumb pressure back here. Look, my veins are popping out. Even Jimi Hendrix back here is going, what's going on? Okay, so those are the 3 chords. E, A, and B. Those are rough. Okay, but they are a must. You have them written down, E, A, and B. Do we have any variations? Of course. Okay, I showed you the E variations. A, which was this. I'm sorry, yep. We can do everything on the 2nd fret. So yes, you already have 2 fingers on the 2nd fret. Your pinky is the only thing that can climb under there and grab on your A string, 2nd fret. Then your high E string, 2nd fret. Okay, you can also do things this way. Okay, this makes a whole new type of A. Just want to show it to you real quick. You can bar your finger across, because you're getting ready to go to B anyway. Bar your finger across the whole 2nd fret and make a whole new A chord by putting your ring finger on your A string at the 4th fret right here, and then your pinky at the 5th fret on your E string. And if you want to make an easier B chord, nobody else will tell you this, just take that and move it 2 more frets this way. And that's your B chord. That's an easier B chord than the other one. So now you know 2 different ones. If you don't remember them, run the video back. I don't have a lot of time. Okay? So here's the A. I'm sorry. My bad. So we're back to E. If we want to go to A, you can just bring those 2 up. Back to E. And the B, we have to bar it and then put 2 fingers way up here, which is tough. Or we can play the A this way and then move that all up for the B. Okay, so that lets you know what your other options were for that A, were to play this. Okay. Same with the B. So you can play all those notes that are in there and hammer them on, pull them off. Okay, so those are your options. This is how fast we're going from here on out, okay? So that's E, A, and B. Okay, the other ones we had were, what else did we have? We had C, F, and G, which we did. We did G, C, and D. Now we have to do A, D, and E. Now you know these chords already, okay? You just have to put them together. A, D, and E. You know them. A was this thing up here that we just did. D is the one where you do them one on outside at the second fret. Back to A, which is this thing. And now E is the one where you just take those two down and you add the one we just did here at the first one. Okay, so one time through in A, which is to D, back to A, to E, which is this. So you drop those two down, added this one. Back to A. To D. Back to A. To E. Okay, so that's those. C, F, and G. Did we do those? Yeah, we did C. F was that big long thing. Back to C. And then the G we already knew. Okay. What else do we have? There's D, G, and A. Did we do those? We have to do them. We know all the chords already. I think we learned every chord. So D, G, and A. We'll just simply run over them. D, we know is this. G, we learned at the beginning. Back to D. Now the A is where we have the two at the top here at the second fret. Back to D. To G, just like I told you to write them on the paper. Back to D, to A, to D. Okay, so believe it or not, that's what we get. The things that I want you to work on are every single chord, learning the notes, because if you use your piece of paper that I showed you, after you get to G sharp, because you go from here's G, G sharp, then it starts all over again at A, then A sharp, because there is no such thing as a H. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G sharp, then it starts all over A sharp, B, B to C, nothing in between, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E to F, E, F, F sharp, and back to G. We're at the double dots, G, then without it, open. So you can always tell octaves, same note, just higher or lower. They're both G notes. If I was to go to the D strings, to the 12th fret, and to the A string, same thing, and the E string. Pretty crazy. Okay, now I want to show you one other thing for when you are trying to see if this is all set up correctly. Okay, I had talked to you earlier about lining this bridge up. Okay, this is very, very important. Otherwise, this thing will sound horrible if you don't have this set up correct. Because normally when you get a mandolin, whoever had it before you, if it was used, or if it came from the music store, or was in a box or whatever, this will be in the wrong place and none of your notes will sound right. until it's in the right place. If it's not in the right place, everything will sound off. So again, line it up with that inner notch in our F holes. Same here with that top part of the bridge. Not with the center of the bridge, but with this whole inside part of your bridge, just like there's a pencil line going across. The way you'll find out if it's in perfect place, this is kind of weird for you, but at the double dots here, the fret that is, let me get in close. No, I won't use the zoom, I'll just scoot my little chair in. Okay, I'll turn it kind of like this. The fret, the 12th fret that actually has, you know, some kind of design or dot, whatever you have. If you put your fingers right on top of that fret, don't push down at all. Don't push. Don't go behind it like we normally fret it, but go directly on top of it. This is going to tell you if this is placed correctly. You put your fingers over top of that fret. Do not push down at all. Just lay it across all of them, lightly, light as a feather. Strum your pick. It should sound like that. Right above that 12th fret. These are called harmonics. If it does that, then you have that in the right place. If it doesn't do it, move it till it does do it. Just a little bit till it does do it. You'll have to retune everything again. Anytime you move this, you'll have to retune the whole thing. Okay? And it will make those noises, those harmonics. And those notes are the same as they were if that's your E string. This is an E note, an E harmonic. A string, 12th fret. That's an A harmonic. D string. That's a D note harmonic. Okay, why is that useful? D note, D harmonic. Say I'm playing along in the key of D. And I go to G. And I'm going to D. I'm ending a song. A. D. See how that was? How cool, huh? You can add those and make them neat. You can do them at the 7th fret. And really hard, but you can do them at the 5th fret. So if you could do them at 12, you know you have the bridge in the right place. 7, make sure, 5. So you're not pushing anything, you're just putting your fingers right above it, touching it, letting go. But that will let you know that you have your instrument set up correctly. Okay, so that is it. Your straps that you can get for these generally will only have one place to put them on. Okay, on the other end, if you have the A-shaped or the A mandolin is kind of shaped like that, not like mine. They may have another place to put your strap, but what they generally want you to do is put like a shoelace through the other hole on the other side of your strap, and then kind of tie it underneath where the strings go through right here. They just want you to run a little piece of shoelace underneath there, come out the other side and tie it through the hole on your strap, and then it will hang down and kind of just come to here, and that string just kind of holds it in place. An instrument like this, they actually have a part that goes and fits in here, so it's like a leather piece. You take it and you roll it and it goes up inside here, and it just kind of hangs there by that. But there's no other strap button like this. You can always buy one and just screw it in right there and just hook on a regular guitar strap and it'll be fine, or hook it there, hook it anywhere you want that it'll balance. Okay, so I'm going to show you my pretty face Told you it was early, look at me. Or late. Okay, so, yeah, I didn't bother to get ready for this. So once again, I'm Scott Grove. I hope you had a great intro into this. And yes, there are other lessons available, other ones coming out, blah, 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 blah. But experimentation is your biggest thing. You can go online, okay, and go anywhere. Just Google a song, that preferably a country or a bluegrass song. The slower the better to begin with, and put in, like say you would put in like Chattahoochee or that Big City song. That's a good song. Big City by Merle Haggard. Get a song like that, type in Big City and chords, CHORDS. There's a lot of sites and they'll tell you what the chords are to that song. And then you can go on YouTube, look up Big City by Merle Haggard, and print out those chords that we were just on the other site. And you already know the chords because I just showed them to you. And you can play right along with it. It'll have the name of the chord right above, you know, where the lyrics are. And it'll tell you what word you change chords on. And you can play along with those songs. That's why I'm not sitting here doing all that work for you. The internet is your best friend here. So go on the internet, find a song you like that is easy to start off with. Like 3 chords. Country songs are easy. The old country songs are always like 2 or 3 chords, and they will always be those chords that I told you will be there. Okay, so grab those kind of songs, put in Don't Matter, Achy Breaky Heart chords. Okay, and you'll find 10 places, 20 places that have them, and look for it where it tells you the name of the chord right above the words, so it lets you know when to change. Copy, print that out, go to YouTube, find the video for the song, and play those chords. It will change until your ear gets used to it. Change chords when the paper tells you to change chords. It'll tell you what chord to go to. You know how to play them now because I taught them to you. You can go online and print out little, what are those nasty, nasty things? Things that look like this, that kind of show you where, like there's a G chord, tells you which finger goes where, which fret it goes on. There's the name of the chord, G, and it will look like that. There's your C chord, where it just moved. Okay, there's your D chord. So you can find these and print these out. And then again, I showed you all the little things you can do with it. All your little scales, all your notes, everything you can cram in there. So add all that in. Find out what you can play when there's a whole band playing. And you don't have to play the chords. You can play the solo stuff that I showed you. The little... Okay, I did show you that in D. It's just a matter of how you phrase it, how you want to talk it, my friend. Okay, so this is a lot to lay on you. This is how we used to say it back in the 60s and 70s. I know this is heavy and it's a lot to lay on you, and I'm old, but I hope that I taught you well enough that you can go forward and figure all this out. Like I said, you will learn more from yourself than you will ever learn from me. Okay, so learn by making mistakes. Try different notes that I haven't showed you yet. I haven't shown you 1/100th of what you can possibly learn on this thing. Yeah, sure, there's other videos, and do I want the extra couple bucks? I don't care. If you can learn from this one video and write me and say, hey Scott, man, I really had a good time with this, and I'm good. I'm figuring out the rest by myself. That is better than you buying another video from me. It honestly is. because I have people all over the world buying videos every day. I don't need you to come back and buy another video, but I do need you to come back and say, I got it, I get it, I understand, maybe thanks. You know, that's all I want. I want you to be a great musician and have your own songs that I can hear, because most songs out there really suck. So hopefully you'll go on to be somebody, you know, famous, or play with somebody famous that makes good music. And that's all I want for you to be happy doing this. Okay, so once again, I'm Scott. You can always email me at groovy lessons, groovy, Groovy lessons at AOL.com, and talk to me any old time. I answer everybody back. Sometimes it takes me a week, because I do honestly get 400 to 600 emails per day, plus all my people who talk to me on YouTube and everything else. But I answer them all eventually, but usually never more than a week. But some I get to you right away. So if you have anything you want to suggest or ask, or just shoot the breeze, I'm here, dudes. That's why I record these things at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I'm answering mail and sending out tons of videos all the time, and it's great. I thank you so much for allowing me to do this for a living. And again, just practice, practice, practice. There's no shortcuts other than what you got today. Okay, I gave you, I say this a lot, but I gave you all the tools to really be able to be a great player already. Now you just got to go build your own house. Okay, so make your own phrasing, talk that thing, make all the mistakes you can. Everybody's made them before. I've made all the mistakes for you. I took away some of the ones you shouldn't be making, but you'll still make them. That'll teach you to not make them again. So again, do I need to announce my name? No. Just have a good time all the time. Live long and prosper. Spock out.